Hey there, welcome to another episode of Divine Design. I am your host, Chrissy Morales, and I am so excited today because I have Dr. Rozier sitting with me. Hi.
Hello. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it.
Oh, definitely. All right, guys. So I am so excited because Dr. Rozier, you are my pain management doctor.
Yes, I am.
And what we're going to talk about today is something that I don't know if you folks know or may not know. Maybe you don't know, maybe you do know. But we're going to talk about THC. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about medical cannabis, and that this is actually legal in the state of Texas. But share with me what this means and why our state is a little bit different than other states and what you can do with the medical cannabis.
All right. So let's say in 2015, Texas passed the Texas Compassionate Use Act. This law allowed physicians to prescribe cannabis for patients for certain diseases under certain restrictions. So basically the cannabis, the law said that you can prescribe by volume 1% products that have 1% THC in them that are edibles. So no flower, nothing you can smoke or vape.
Okay.
And it allowed us to get products like tinctures, tablets, capsules, drinks, candies, but no flower at all. And so this started in 2015. And under certain diagnoses such as Parkinson's, autism, MS, cancer, PTSD, you can prescribe cannabis legally for patients here in Texas.
So do you prescribe cannabis legally?
Yes, I do. Very legally.
Okay, so, legally, all right. And the question would be like, how many patients do you help?
So it's been great. So we started ARC Medical Cannabis Clinic in May of 2022.
Okay.
It was pretty early. It hasn't been that long.
Hadn't even been a year.
And I have about 400 patients now.
Okay.
So it's been a great growth. It's funny that, I didn't even know that it was legal like my patients did. So I got a phone call to ask me if I was interested, and I was like, "What are you talking about? You can do this?" So I made somebody come to my office, explain to me the law, the rules, because I didn't believe it either.
Okay.
Once I saw that it was opened up, I was like, it's because I feel so strongly about plant medicine, how I can help people. I got on board. I got tired of seeing patients come to my office and being on massive amounts of opiates, and I had patients with cancer who just couldn't get any help, and I saw people that actually wanted to get off medication too. And so this is also a great way to kind of move out of that realm of opiates and too many pain medications and too many anxiety medications also. And it's because it does so many different things. And so I thought it was a great way for me to kind of move my patient base to something different that could be helpful too.
Alternative, holistic.
Exactly.
God-made.
Exactly. And a lot more helpful too.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so tell me a little bit about, let's take one person. Just think of a patient that you have. Okay. Somebody who's definitely on all these opiates, all these drugs and whatnot, and says, okay, I'm going to use this alternate or this medical cannabis and whatnot. And how have they progressed? Or how have you been able to weed them off or not? Yeah. Or is this something that you just use in conjunction?
Yeah. Well, you got to be very careful though too, right? Because, people tend to still have opiate dependence, right?
Sure,
so you just can't shut. And many drugs, not just opiates, cause dependence, right? So the goal is I always say this, look, my goal in the end is to see how much improvement we get just by the medicine alone, but two, let's see how much of this medication we can get down, whether it be for anxiety, seizures, pain, headaches, sleep. Granted, the law only allows you to prescribe it for certain neurological problems, but people have many other overlapping things. When I talk to them, they're always like, well, yeah, I have neuropathy, but I can't sleep. I got anxiety. I got stomach pain. So all those things are all still affected, despite the fact that we only can use this for certain things. So,
okay. So you're seeing that this is definitely making a difference.
Yeah. So for an example, I have one patient I think of now. I have a patient. It was really cool. So this patient was about 17 years old. I got a quick call from the mother because the autism was so bad.
Oh.
She was like, he had a lot of just like outbursts. He was a high schooler. She said like he was a big kid. She said like he broke the counter table with his fist. Like he's that big of a kid.
Wow.
So we started him on just a very small amount of tincture.
Okay.
And we get a phone call maybe 2 months later, and she's like crying, saying how amazing her son has been, how relaxed he's been, how his mood is better, and just a small amount of medicine in a small amount of time. So he's expressing himself more, better concentration, doing a little better at school, and that was like within maybe 3 months of him being on the medication. So, and that's not everybody per se, but that's what we're trying to do. Though we're trying to help people fix either very big problems or even the small ones that are still effective in their life. So
then so you've been practicing for how long?
I started my practice in 2015. So
okay.
Like almost, close to 10 years now, 8 years.
Okay. So, okay. And so and I love that you're a doctor that's willing to be, think forward and kind of see the future, because I really believe that pharmaceutical companies and all that, I think it's all BS. I think it's corruption. I think it's all about, honestly, it's keeping people sick. It's not about preventive. It's keeping them on the pills and the drugs and have the money come in. Yeah. That's my thoughts about it.
I think people are really waking up to that. I think especially after COVID, and now they're seeing all these studies about how the vaccine is causing all these cardiovascular issues and how they still kept pushing it. And people are smart, but the issue is we're only given the information that we're given, right? And so if you don't do a lot of your own the discovery and research, you don't know. But I think people nowadays are looking at healthcare. They're very disgruntled. Pharmaceuticals, biopharmacy. Like people know kind of what the angle is now because we see it. We see it in politics. We see it on TV.
Right.
And we know that a lot of times, with especially U.S.-based healthcare, our healthcare is a consumer-based healthcare program. Like we're not getting free care. So when you have a healthcare program or system set up that is based on making money, then what do you think everything else is going to do under that too, right?
Right. All about the money. All about the money.
It is. It's unfortunate, but it's true.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so but those are my thoughts about it. I really think that going to holistic, I'm going to tell a little story real quickly. This is kind of getting off medical cannabis for a second, but the fact that, I believe in holistic ways of healing myself. I've always been a person that is about self-improvement, and don't like to stay stagnant, always moving forward, always growing, always learning. After Steve passed away, I had this mystery pain, doc. So I got MRIs, CT scans, going to all these doctors, and nobody could figure out what was going on with me. They ended up telling me I had acid reflux. I'm like, I don't have acid reflux. I know I don't. I've never even really experienced a heartburn. But one doctor that I came across, because I thought at one point in time, does this have something to do with my back? Because I've ruptured my lowest disc in Hawaii in 2009. I thought I was never going to walk again. I had to deal with that pain for weeks and got 3 cortisone shots. And finally, they kept on telling me, you're going to have back surgery. And I kept on saying, no, I'm not doing that. After 3 cortisone shots, though, I basically could walk again and I felt good. Now, I did have to rest and, not move for weeks, but I'm glad that I made that decision. And so it really made me start thinking, though, okay, I didn't do what the doctors told me to. They told me I had to get back surgery, and I said no. So thank God I listened to my body, and I know nothing about nothing, especially when it comes down to the medical world, and was like, okay. So I'm like, okay, wait a minute. They could be wrong. Mm-hmm. And what is really their agenda? So hence now I have this mystery pain and whatnot. My sponsor with eXp Realty, that's the realty company that I'm with, told me, you know what, go to Dr. Sue and stop going to Western medicine. I thought, this is really what y'all do? I walk into this office, Dr. Rozier, and I'm like, looking around, it's in Irving, and I'm looking around going oh my God, are you kidding me? This lady has jars and jars of I don't know if it's spices or different types of weeds and leaves and tea and all kinds of stuff. And I'm looking around going, oh my God, where did she send me? Like, I'm like going, oh my God, now this is a quack. I'm not sure. I don't know what's going to happen here. You know, so I'm like, all right. And I'm like, look, she's a smart girl. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to trust this. And in the end, she asked me a series of questions. No stethoscopes, no blood pressure machines, nothing of that nature. Literally said, tell me your story. I told her my story and she said, okay, put your hand out. So she's going based on energy and kept on telling me, you know, lift, you know, can you push it down? So here's what would happen. She would talk about different things in my life. You know, Tim, strong, this, that. Oh, you're a small girl, a smart girl, this, Steve. I'm like, do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, it just would. And I'm like, okay. And so then she was like, hey, do this. And she knocks on my back and says, think about this, that, and other. And then she goes, oh, now we're going to do a cupping acupuncture. Do you know, I walked out of there, I had no pain.
Wow.
I didn't understand that, but it also made me think there's got to be alternate ways to heal ourselves. And it's not all those pharmaceutical drugs.
From learning that too, do you think that was a pure physical problem though, is the question?
I think, well, now that I'm in my grief group for the third time, literally did that last night, and seeing the grief care video again, it talked about how when you're walking through grief, that your back may hurt, headaches, this, pain. They actually noted it in the video and said, pain in your stomach, pain in your side, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. So no, I think it was the trauma, the PTSD that I truly experienced. I still believe that I experienced this to this day, even though it's almost been 2 years. Steve died January 31st. I think that's your birthday too.
Yes, it is. I'll be 41 years old.
Yes, you're 40. You'll be 41, youngster. Okay, so, but anyways, it just opened my mind. And then me walking through Steve's death and my spiritual awakening, and me actually praying, meditating, journaling, having a spiritual, true connection with God, it's just completely opened my mind to everything. And I'm questioning everything. I'm questioning the Bible. I'm questioning everything. Yeah. And so when I walked into your office, because here's what happened. So Dr. Katzen is the one that actually recommended for pain management.
Great neurosurgeon here in Mansfield.
So he said, you just need to go see him. And so this is how I have a relationship with you. But anyways, one day I was sitting in your office, and you don't have this in every office room. Right. You don't. No. That poster, is it only in one room?
No. Yeah, it's only in one room. So so it's funny how that's the room you're in. So yeah.
Okay, so I believe that.
So it's happened.
Okay, I've been praying. God is definitely leading me. Okay, and here's what I thought. So I happen to be, that's interesting that I asked the question. You're like, no, I only have that poster. This is not a colorful poster, guys. This is a poster that you actually have to read. Yeah. So thank goodness you had me sitting there for a second.
And looking at it. Where's he at?
Where's he at? And I'm kind of looking around, and there's really nothing, but there's a poster kind of in front, and it's a boring ass poster. Black and white. I probably would have never read it, but I just, it piqued or got my attention, and I thought, and it made me start asking questions to you. And so here we are. Right. So I'm going to let you know though, and I am going to say it, that I've gone through the process.
Okay.
I filled out the questionnaire, and these are actually my vials. Yeah. And so this is something that I just got prescribed. And so I can't really talk eloquently on if this is making a difference for me yet, because I've only honestly taken this a handful of times. Now, I have not messed with the day one. Okay. I've only messed with the night one. I am going to tell you this. I cannot sleep at night, guys. I cannot sleep. I have anxiety. I really believe that going to grief group last night, that I am still traveling through trauma and PTSD big time. Yeah. Because I believe, I don't want to go in there and see if really I have it, but I believe I have ADHD. I really do believe this, because I'm a squirrel all over the place. But I think there's a few things that are helping me. What I have done is the night thing, and I'm going to tell you that I do get a good night's sleep. At least, even though this has probably been using this maybe 5 nights.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah.
And I am sleeping well, and I'm so thankful for that. So I will definitely let you know, well, you're going to know, how I'm progressing and what's going to happen here. But the way that I feel about this truly is that this is a product that, like I said, I believe it's God's medicine. And I also believe that it's helpful. And it's not harmful. And it has so many uses.
So many uses.
It's not just medicinal. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with hemp.
Right, exactly.
So that is my belief. But also I want you to know that this is something that was legal.
Right.
Then the government became illegal. And now it's the push to legalize once again. Right. I do want to read a little bit of this if you don't mind, because for the audience out there, I mean, I don't know what you think about this. I believe what we're trying to do is really just push awareness about this, that there all are alternative ways that to heal yourself. And that they need to be recognized. So I'm going to let you know, I'll definitely, if you're lobbying or doing anything, I'll definitely be right there with you, because I definitely believe in this. But this is interesting. So I'm going to read somewhat of an article that talks about why the U.S. made marijuana illegal. And it says, thing is, the drug wasn't always prohibited. Anglo-Americans and Europeans have known about marijuana's medical benefits since at least the 1830s. Around that time, Sir William Brooke O'Shaughnessy, you may be familiar, I hope I'm saying that right, an Irish doctor studying in India, documented that cannabis extracts could ease cholera symptoms like stomach pain and vomiting. By the late 19th century, Americans and Europeans could buy cannabis extracts in pharmacies and doctors' offices to help with stomach aches, migraines, inflammation, insomnia, and other ailments. But modern research has backed up claims that marijuana has real medical benefits. For example, it can decrease seizures and alleviate pain without causing physical dependence. Guys, you're not becoming addicted to this. I'm going to talk about a lady that I know that has been on, what has she been on, Xanax for 40 years. Her doctors have now told her, you can't be on this anymore. It has put this person into a tizzy that they cannot function, they cannot do anything. And I think that is wrong, but they're totally dependent. And so, despite its medical usefulness, many Americans' attitudes towards cannabis shifted at the turn of the century. This was at least partly motivated by Mexican immigration to the U.S. around the time of the 1910 Mexican Revolution. The prejudices and fears that greeted these present immigrations also extended to their traditional means of intoxication, smoking marijuana. So I think this is interesting. It says police officers in Texas claimed that marijuana incited violent crimes around a lust for blood and gave its users superhuman strength. Rumors spread that Americans were distributing this killer weed to unsuspecting American school children. It's worth noting, which is all BS, but it's worth noting that research has shown alcohol to be more dangerous than marijuana. U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration's fact sheet on the drug says that no death from overuse of marijuana has ever been reported.
Right. Exactly.
So 29 states outlawed marijuana between 1916 and 1931. The Marijuana Tax Act of 1937 especially banned its nationwide, despite objections from the American Medical Association related to medical usage. Today, 29 states and Washington, D.C. have legalized medical marijuana, and 8 states plus D.C. have legalized it for recreational use. However, growing consensus around the issue suggests that legalization, or rather re-legalization, could be in America's future. So I also kind of wanted to touch base that, for Texas, it's definitely, so it's legal medically.
Yeah, we have a very limited medical program, right, compared to a lot of the other states.
Okay.
Right now, there's a restriction on what we can prescribe it for, how much we can give, right? I mean, and then the products also have a limit too, right? So 1% by volume. So there's not a big concentration in the edible products either. And so, other states have full medical programs where the doctor can actually decide what to prescribe it for. There's way more like choice, basically, of the medicine too. And so that's been an issue here. It's a very small program. I mean, you can walk to other programs now in other states, and you can actually walk into a dispensary. There's flour, there's other products, and right now it's just so limited in the state, and it's for many different reasons, right? You have the dogma, you have the politicians, you have the people who are trying to monetize the right way, and so all these things are going to combine together and make it a very slow process of growth here in Texas. So it's really sad. I like the point. I want to touch a point though too that article did not talk about.
Okay, perfect.
Hemp is an amazing plant by itself, right? So you have the hemp plant, right? Is what we consider the marijuana plant with low amounts of THC, right?
Okay.
Every plant doesn't give you that mother flower that gives you that high amount of THC. Some just grow low amounts, and that's a lot where we get the CBD from. Now, that plant has so many different uses, right? So think about like in the late 1800s, 1900s. What was one of the main crops that was still grown in America? Cotton.
Cotton. That's what I was going to say.
So hemp is way more versatile than cotton, right? Hemp can be used in oils. Hemp can make clothes. Hemp can make textiles. Hemp can be actually made to make one of the strongest ropes that's actually known to man. That stuff it's got a very high tensile strength. The cotton growers saw it as competition also too. So you had that factor also going in with immigration and other issues, but like it's all about money.
Makes sense.
It's all about money.
Yes.
Hemp is an amazing product. And even now to this day in Texas, they're trying to limit hemp growth here in the state right now.
Wow.
So because they see it as one, they're trying to limit the CBD, but also because why would you think if hemp can grow way easier than cotton can, right? And it's cheaper. Why are there just fields and fields of hemp in the country right now? What's stopping it, right?
Money.
And so right? Always,
yes.
right? And so you think about like all the uses stuff has, it's great. You can cook with it, use it on your skin. This thing is amazing, and it's an old plant. They found Egyptian pharaohs with like cannabis, right? It was in Asia hundreds and hundreds of years ago. This plant is across the world, not just here in Native America. It wasn't just them. It was a worldwide plant that was used. And so it's not like, so you walk into this and used for thousands of years, like, someone's, old Native American grandma was token out like hundreds of years ago, minding her business, right?
Right.
Here comes in these colonizers and now like, oh, this is barbaric. You can't use this anymore. And it was a whole chain of events that made it illegal here in this country. So but I want to touch on that point that it was more than just that.
Yeah, right.
There was so many different factors that caused this.
And that's what it is. It has so many uses. I think about, gas and electricity, now what they're trying to do now and how, people don't want this to go away or whatnot, but it's all about the money. All about the money.
Right.
And I'd kind of screenshotted this. It was like, okay, what is legal right now? And this was kind of in Texas. It was talking about House Bill 1325, which Governor Greg Abbott signed in 2019. But I just think this is so fascinating, honestly. And honestly, I'm a supporter. I really do believe that it's got medical, I said I was not going to say this, but all in all, I guess I'm letting the spirit move me. Okay. And I guess this is why you're here. And I feel like that I'm supposed to say this. So, but all in all, this is Divine Design Podcast. And, it's about, I really do believe that this is God's medicine. He made it for a reason.
I think that's the funny thing about it's like, here you go. We can go, this is my thing. I don't understand this. You can go buy a pack of beer. You can go buy a bottle of alcohol. You can go buy a cigar. You have kids going and doing vaping now in their high school. Like, you have, you can go hookah. You can go do all these things. You can eat all these sugar products. You can do all these things in this country that can kill you.
Right.
And you have this one plant that people aren't dying from, right? Granted, you can be intoxicated from this, and granted, there are things that you still have to be safe with, but the levels of danger and risk compared to what's legal makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
And
so that's the big argument too. But I think people are realizing that, which is why so many people in this country are moving towards for making it legalized, right? And so, I mean, you still have people still going to jail, getting in trouble for, edibles in their car or, or a cart. And it's also kind of like, it doesn't make sense either because we're in Texas. Now I can go to jail for it here, but I can go one state up to Oklahoma,
right,
and it's okay, right? It makes
yes.
no sense. And people actually need this stuff. Like, I see real patients. I'm not seeing people who are just trying to get cannabis. I'm seeing 85, 70, 65. A lot of them are older too, and people, all different ages, and they have real problems. Because I see their notes. I see that they have PTSD. I see that they have cancer, and they need help. Right. And that's just what it is.
Right.
And they need other ways of being helped besides just surgeries and prescription drugs.
Absolutely. Because I think about all the people, of course you have friends, whatnot, that you talk about, people, and I'm just going to say, people that smoke marijuana, whatnot, but majority of them are using it to sleep, to relax, that I know, that are in pain. And it's just another way to, fight that pain. Or if they're nauseous and they don't eat because they're sick. So I want to touch base on this very quickly, which I thought is interesting. This is an article that was written November 22nd, 2022.
Yeah, pretty recent.
Americans overwhelmingly say marijuana should be legal for medical or recreational use. And here's what it says. 1 in 10 U.S. adults say marijuana should not be legal at all. 1 in 10.
And who are those people?
Yes, who are those people?
Who are those people?
I think that's majority of the people, majority of the people. But I thought what was interesting, Americans 75 and older are the least likely to say marijuana should be legal.
Right. So it makes you think just like,
they're
people,
conditioned. They're thinking
and that's
whatever.
Normal, right? That's a lot of different things, right? And so, even I had issues with I started my practice. My mother was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
Tell me about this.
I'm like, "Mom, and she lives in Jersey where it's legal,
Okay.
And so had to go back and have these conversations about it because even when it became legal, it was like, "Oh, it's a drug." I'm like, "Mom, you drink wine, like you have a margarita, anything that is intoxicating is considered a drug. Coffee, a cigarette,
okay,
right?
You're right.
Wine, if it can make you intoxicated, considered a drug, right? And so then you go, so what makes this one worse than this one? If I put 10 people in a room and I give them a bottle of tequila, what's going to happen in that room? If I put people in a room, right?
Their clothes are going to fall off.
And they're just smoking, and they're smoking, what happens?
Nothing.
Yes. And so I'm not saying that being, under the influence of THC, you should be doing everything. I'm just saying that where's the comparison? There's no logical comparison to it at all. It has no rhyme or reason, And so, and I think also too, you have a situation where people are in need of other options.
Right.
And I feel like what it's doing is denying people access to the options that they need.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so, and it locks us into just doing certain things, right? You can go get 90 pills of hydrocodone and pay like $10, and it's totally legal. It could be addicting. You can die, right? We know what's going on right now. You get kids out there buying laced opiates because they've been given medicine before. It's a big problem.
Yes.
Right? So imagine the shift that would happen if it became a federal thing where it was legal all over the place. But the problem with that would be what would happen too. All these pills we use, they wouldn't be needed, a lot of them, right? Tylenols, the sleep. You walk into Target down that drug aisle, right? And you see so many different drugs for so many problems that cannabis can help you out with.
Yes.
Sleep.
Right.
Nausea.
Yes.
Headaches.
Yes.
Pain and aching.
Right.
So you got your Tylenols, your Advils, your naproxens, your Bayers, right? Then you look at things like, the Ambiens, right? All those little those melatonin products, right? All those little small things, right? And all the ointments. Imagine if we just use cannabis. So a lot of those companies would lose money too. So I'm sure that's also an issue also.
It's absolutely an issue. And I think that's why this is, I'm going to tell you, I'm a person that I don't like to take Advil. I'm a person that I don't take anything for the most part. I really don't. And when even going through my grief or whatever, different doctors, my primary care, like, has prescribed me pills. And I read them and I'm like, I don't want to take this. This is for like what was one of them? I don't even know the names because I just don't take them. I really don't. But I'm not one of those people. I think there's a lot of people out there like me that don't want to do this. We're looking for, healthy ways to heal ourselves through, eating right, exercising, trying to reduce stress, not working as much. That one's not, I'm working on that. I'm working on that, doing this podcast. I'm working on it all. But looking for just alternative ways and healthy ways, like even going to Dr. Sue and seeing her. I would have never have done that, but I've gone a couple of times, and every time I go in there, I've only had acupuncture twice, but I walk out feeling like $1 million. And it's amazing to me. I'm like, how can that be? I'm not taking a pill. I'm not doing something of that nature, but
to your point, though, I think the problem too with the Western versus East medicine is that we've just been conditioned to think that all Western medicine is right. And I think that that is the problem. Plant medicine, ancient medicine has been used for thousands of years. What was the change? And the change was the fact that when we had our medical school programs back in the 1800s, they were all backed by big corporations. So oil, railroad, they all were pushing going towards pharmaceuticals. So then that root that the grandmas were using, those berries, those grains, right?
Yes.
Were now all of a sudden quack medicine, right?
Okay.
All the stuff they brought over from Africa, also they brought from other Europe, all those immigrants brought all their knowledge from all these places. And before we had pharmaceuticals, people still were healing, right? We've seen ancient artifacts of amazing plants, amazing surgical instruments, amazing. It wasn't like all of a sudden medicine just invented here in America, but the push was because, how can we make more money? So now we're going to have to train these doctors to believe that the only way to get people better is with pharmaceuticals. And then everything that was outside of that would become quack medicine and illegal to teach. That's also why we don't learn about this stuff in medical school too. It's not a part of the curriculum, period, because it's not a part of the dogma of how we should be taught. And we're only taught from books that were written by people who are in control of our medical system. And so you walk into an office and we're always taught these stereotypes. We're taught the way of thinking, how to even it's all put in our brain while we're in med school. They make us become like little lemmings of thought because we're told that's the proper way to practice. And so if you don't step out that box when you start to work, you will always practice that way. And then you have a patient walk into your office, and then you and unfortunately a lot of doctors will, regardless of them being, good or bad, they've been conditioned to look at you a certain way.
Yes. And
I think that's been a big problem in our education system within medicine right now, and because every doctor person's on opiates, right? And we all have stories, people walk into the ER or the clinic and they feel like they're being attacked because we're on medicine. I realize that every patient doesn't want to be on opiates. I realize that. I know every patient doesn't want to be on a bunch of drugs. I think a lot of doctors do too, but because of the system set up, they have to go about it a certain way, right? And so that leads us to being very closed off in way of thinking and way of thought, right? And if you're not willing to open yourself up to that, then you're going to keep just practicing and seeing patients the same exact way.
And I love what he's saying, because if you followed me at all on these podcasts, I've basically been talking about we are so conditioned, and that throughout my process, through journaling, just my spiritual awakening, I'm questioning everything. Everything. And you really do. And you have to find the answers for yourself. I advocate research and find the answers for yourself, whatever that may be, on medical cannabis, on God, on whatever this is in your life. But I love that you're talking about we are so conditioned, and even how you were trained is so conditioned. Now, that's going to lead me to your school of thought now. How many of your colleagues or your friends that are doctors or whatnot, how many people believe what you believe? How is it actually in your industry? what do y'all talk about? And is it more likely people are leaning this way? Are they not? Or talk to me about that.
I mean, I think everybody has, it's hard because everybody
you have personal
has,
opinions.
Right,
Yes.
personal opinions, right. And so as a physician, I have many different kinds of colleagues do different kinds of things, right? And so the thing is that everybody's not all just single-minded, right? I mean, I have a group of I know plenty of doctors who are a little more open to the, let's say, spiritual side of healing, right? I think that you have to realize that you're not just a disease or diagnosis. Like, we're a complete being, right? So when we live a spiritual life, we have a physical existence here, but that has to kind of fall in line with just like your wisdom and knowledge, basically. So because if you walk in and just see a person as a physical being, right, then that means that you're just going to look at those problems. You had a perfect example, after your husband died, you went through a lot of just mental issues, like mental health issues, right? I see all the time that mental health affects pain. But there's also a really cool physiological test they've done. So they've done actual functional, like MRI. So they'll take a person and they'll put them through an MRI machine. This MRI machine will actually look at your brain in real time.
Okay.
And they found that like pain is associated with like the emotional part of your brain, the memory part of your brain, the stress part of your brain. So what does that tell you? Like, it's all connected. I think as human beings, we compartmentalize too much. Right? And so you go, oh, my back hurts. And then you see it just like a back. That's it. I got a disc. I can't do this because I have a herniation. It's going down my leg. So I can't be functional. I can't go to work. I can't exercise. And I think the problem is that as physicians, we're trained to give you that diagnosis, right? But why? For one reason only. We do it because basically for documentation and billing. You got to have something that I can say and treat to get paid, right?
Okay.
That's how the system's set up, right? So now you're walking around with this one problem, hanging on to this one issue, like that's causing all your issues, right? And so that's not true, though. You're a walking human, spiritual, functioning being. So you have, you still have other body parts moving. You still have emotion. You still have mood, right? You still got to feed yourself the proper things. You still have to move your body the proper way. And not to say all that's going to heal you, but you can't forget that it's all connected. So when you have back pain, it may just be the fact that maybe if I just do a little more stretching, maybe I just do a little more movement, maybe I'll feel better. But it's funny, though, even though doctors are trained to do things a certain way, so are patients, right? So you walk into my office and you tell me your problem, and then you don't tell me one way that you tried to fix it, right?
Okay.
So it goes both ways, because patients don't always they don't take their own problems, right, in their own hands sometimes. You walk into an office and you want she or her to fix it, right?
Give me a pill.
When a lot of times, right? With a little effort, wink, wink, you can, improve yourself. I can't tell you how many times someone's come to my office and say they have pain in their arm. And I go to them, okay, so it's been a whole six months of your arm hurting. What have you done for your arm? Have you even stretched? Have you iced? Have you moved your body in any way to help this problem?
No. Yes.
So my thing is okay, so I think about, 100 years ago when we didn't have this system, what did my great-great-great-grandparents do when their shoulder hurt, right? They went outside, took a little plant that had some salicylic acid in it, which is aspirin, right?
Okay.
And they moved on, right? I mean, but they worked it out, they moved their bodies, right? And I'm not saying everything heals that way, but you gotta take some of that under your own, in your own hands, and because it's your body and it's still your responsibility. So I think with doctors, what we do is we don't allow patients to really take ownership sometimes of their own issues either, right?
Okay.
We want to fix it for you because that's our job.
Right.
But I feel but when you walk away though, from me, you're still going to have problems.
Right.
And so what tools did I give you to help you out with that? And not just physically, right?
Right.
How are you handling your pain emotionally? How are you handling your pain, not just physically? How are you handling your pain, in 6 months, in 8 months, in 12 months, right? Are you just going to sit there and just wallow in it? or do you have tools to you?
Right.
Because I don't care who you are, stuff's gonna hurt.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Like stuff, you get to a certain age, and all of a sudden this clock turns on, and and I don't care how healthy you are.
You're
I don't
right.
care how great you look. Like something's gonna hurt.
Right.
And every time something hurts, it doesn't mean you need a doctor for it, though, right? I mean, but that's what we're here to take care of you. But I think sometimes you got to realize that, okay, so what else in my life could be causing this problem, right? Because honestly, you know what's going on. Most of us, most of us don't eat that great.
Right.
Most of us aren't moving our bodies, even though we know we should.
Right.
Wink, wink again.
Yes.
Right. And so that's why it's a bigger picture that we have to look at. Are you feeding yourself as you should mentally and spiritually along with that physical portion?
You're right. I think it's all of it, and it's all being aligned, and we are so whacked, and we are not. And it's also what we're conditioned to believe, even how you were taught to in your practice, or how you're supposed to administer, medical, advice, care, whatever that may be. So that's interesting. So I'm going to go back to this question though.
Okay.
Based on colleagues and whatnot, is this more accepted in your industry or is it not? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think a lot of people are closed off to it too.
Okay.
I think so too. I mean, but you got to understand, everybody's not in the same type of spiritual journey either. It's a personal thing, right?
Right.
And so you have
love what you're saying.
You have very religious doctors, right? I mean, I know doctors that pray with their patients prior to procedures. They pray in the office, right, with their patients. I know doctors that are atheists. They don't believe in anything. I know doctors that believe, they're just spiritual people, they're Buddhist or whatever, or they just believe in a universal energy.
Right.
But I think the hard part is, how do I integrate that into my practice? They don't all feel comfortable doing that, right? How are they going to receive me? Is this really getting the job done, right? And so I think that's part of the issue too. Doctors are human beings too. They have plenty of different thoughts, but they don't always incorporate that into their life too, right?
Got it.
I think it's growing. I think that as these, as things become more normalized, especially with plant medicine and mushrooms. And
yes, the
people,
more that things
now you have
come
people
out
there that now I think. But stuff like DMT is huge now, right? You have all these, these podcasts and documentaries. I think Joe Rogan opened that up a lot for people to understand about things like ayahuasca and people's spiritual journeys. So I think now that it's being more talked about now, I think it's being more accepted by physicians. But there's still a barrier there to really talk about, because then you also have these other issues like certain rules that we have to follow. A doctor might not be comfortable because, well, what if that patient goes out and does it? And something happens to them, well, I'm liable. And so, people also want to protect themselves also.
Right.
So they don't always feel comfortable talking about everything all the time, too, for me.
Well, then you know what? I so appreciate you, and then you being forefront on this, and being willing to say this is something that you believe in. Right. So, all right, then I'm going to chat. How did this come to fruition? How are you one of those that is open-minded? Because I totally believe in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. That's why when I saw that little, sign and you came in and, you were high energy and whatnot, but I'm like, tell me about this. What's this? And I had a million questions, and I am a why girl. Why this? And I ask a lot of questions.
Yes, you do.
But what is your...
You do.
Sorry, Doc. Sorry. And we have a little bit, we could, on another podcast, maybe we'll talk about our experience together. But all in all, how has this become for you? Mm-hmm. There's something about you. And when you came into there, I'm like, this guy is love and light. This guy is soulful. Like, I can tell you walk differently. How do you subscribe to this, and how do you live your life? What are your thoughts and you say yes to this?
I think for me, what happened was I had after I started my practice, I kind of went through this kind of evolution to where I became someone I didn't want to be.
Okay.
I got caught in the whole, I'm a physician now, trying to make money, starting my practice. I kind of got locked into a way of thinking that I never really was prior to that. Okay. So people started kind of telling me that I was different. Like, this is not you. I'm sitting there always talking about business and money, and I became what I thought a successful doctor was supposed to look like.
Right.
It's within maybe 3 or 4 years into this, I start to have this just really unhappy feeling about myself, about my life. Things are going great. I got to a point when people talk about like how it doesn't matter how much money you make, how good you're doing at work. Happiness does not come from that, which is a very real thing.
That's
right. It's a very real thing.
Yes.
And I experienced that firsthand. And I'm sitting around like, man, I'm doing great. Like, business is good. Like, why am I so unhappy? And I have this like epiphany, just like, there's something missing I'm not feeding. Like, and I feel like there's a kind of like an empty hole here that I felt. And, I had a friend who had me was my yogi instructor, my yoga instructor, my yogi. And she was in Fort Worth, and I started to do a lot more yoga. And so this is maybe like 6 years ago. And so as I kind of shifted my level of thinking with the yoga, it started to push me into other ways of thought about everything else.
Okay.
So then,
I love it.
I also travel a lot. So whenever I travel, like, I'm really big into like, I'm the guy, I just chase animals. Like, I love the rainforest. So I go very exotic places. So, I go to like Southeast Asia, I go to South America. And so I get to experience people's cultures. Okay. And within that traveling, I get to see a lot of plant medicine. Like one time I was in Borneo, which is this island in Southeast Asia. It's like the second largest tropical island. So I'm out there, I'm out there just running through the forest, no loincloth at all, but, I'm wearing like, hiking clothes, I don't think I'm just Tarzan it up, but I'm like in the rainforest taking photos and things like that. And I'm in there and I get really sick. I get sick. And so we're at this camp and they're like, wait, we got you. So they send this kid out to the rainforest.
You said, pick the red berry.
And
pick the
I'm
red
like,
berry.
I'm sitting here like, because we all seen movies like, we've seen Hostel. You've seen Hostel before, so I'm out there by myself.
Yeah, okay. So you're like, what I'm
about to get, am I going to come out of here? Am I going to, I'm about to have a bunch of villagers like come, I'm like, like just chained up. I shouldn't be there, So this kid comes back and he has all these like roots and all these leaves. And they make like this brew for me in the middle of the rainforest. Okay. And you know what? I'm here now.
Okay.
I might as well do it. I've already been chased by like monkeys. I'm already like getting stuff. Orangutans throwing stuff at me from trees. I might as well do this. So I drink this, right? And I kid you not, probably within I went to sleep, right? Okay. And it was disgusting. It tasted like maybe water and like car oil. It was disgusting. It was like a brew. Okay. But I swear, and the next morning I woke up and my stomach was relaxed. I felt better. I wasn't all nauseous. I wasn't throwing up at all. And I was like, wow, these people just went out there and found this plant and made me better. But then you realize that. So like in pharmaceuticals have used, most of the medicine we've used comes from plant around the world, right? So 85% of medicine, right, comes from the flora and fauna of this planet. We have only found 30% of the plants.
Wow.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
So if you think about it, like, this stuff's already, like, the universe has put this on this earth for us to use. Right. So when these people are using all these quack doctors, right, bring you some berries, some sea moss, or some ashwagandha or some lion's mane mushroom, right? Okay. I mean, these have real properties, right? I mean, especially with plants, we know that plants have anything that lives on this planet has some type of conscious existence, right? We know that plants communicate. We know that plants talk. We know that fungi, we know that like the microbes, they actually touch each other. We know that trees talk to each other. We know that a plant will move for its friend next to it. Like they do all these amazing, so they have an experience, right? They have energy flowing through them. Right. So what that energy has to be also a connection to the universe. With that can be used to heal us too. Right. And so I think that we got to realize that's why it's so important too, what you eat, right? Because everything you put in your body has some type of experience, right? Okay. That's why people talk about eating clean food that has been handled well, that has been loved more, that has come from good soil, good sun, because when you eat that plant or even animal, right, you take in the experience, right? We talk about people eating meat.
That's interesting.
I mean, think about things like cattle and like pigs. So this has nothing to do with being vegan, vegetarian, because I do eat meat. I love me some seafood. I'm not pushing that. You eat what you want to eat.
Yes.
But I will say that what you take in their energy. Think about a cow before it's getting killed, right? You have these line of cows.
I've never thought of that.
Think about these line of cows, right? You've seen cows,
yes,
how they put them down with that little gun. So imagine that cow that's sitting behind the cow, ready to die. Okay. What is that cow going through? What are the stressors while it's in this room being kicked, prodded, and then it's murdered, right? So granted, and so that's why, and then you take in this animal's hormones, this animal's stress, this animal's energy. Right. That's why it's really beautiful when people understand their connection with the planet. That's why when Native Americans or lots of other cultures hunt, right? What do they always usually do? Great example. You know in that movie, not Pandora. What's with the blue people? This came out. Avatar. Okay. You know how they always like have this ritual when they go hunt, and they respect the animal, right? Okay. And they make sure it dies like in a more humane, like a more peaceful way, and they pray over it, and they realize the connection that animal has to them and the respect for the animal versus just slaughtering something, right? Right. Because why? Like, it's important to understand that, like, everything's connected together, right, including the food we eat. Another thing too, most cultures don't use forks and knives. A lot of cultures use their hands to eat, right? So in Western world, they're eating, Ethiopian people, Indian people, a lot of people in Asia, they don't use forks and knives. But why though? Because a lot of it is about your connection to like the food we eat. We have lost our connection to the planet. So you take a fork to this animal, you stick it in your mouth, like you're not touching it, right, you're not feeling it, right, you don't understand this animal was living just like you were, and so your respect is going for it, right? And that's also why we treat a lot of living things the way we do. We don't respect them. This is interesting. But you pull all that in. And so, and it's a big deal too with the medicine, even with cannabis. People, you don't want to get cannabis that's not clean, right? You didn't want it grown with a bunch of pesticides, insecticides, right? That matters. You're taking it into your body. So that's why it's also important that you know where even the cannabis is coming from. You can't inhale, you can't intake anything on this planet and not have some consequence to what you're taking.
That's interesting. I probably would have listened to that in my former, life. And I call this my new chapter and gone whatever. Right. But no, I completely understand what you're saying. And I have an openness to that. But wow, I've never thought about that. So, but now with my spiritual awakening, I'm like, okay, yes, it is all about
plants
that.
Are energy, right? Yes, and so that's why
you're going to make me think about that.
And that's also a big thing now with this whole like GMO thing. We're getting all these plants with. When I was in Vietnam a couple weeks ago, it was this month, I ate nothing but tropical seeded fruit, right? Okay. Dragon fruit, passion fruit, crushed custard apples, grapefruit like, rambuchans and like mangosteens. These are tropical, dense, delicious seeded fruit. You compare that to coming here in America, and what do you see in the supermarket? You see a lot of seedless things now, don't you? A lot of GMO products that Monsanto pushes out that are altered fruit and vegetables that have no seeds, that won't grow a second time because they're made that way to be restricted to grow. We're putting that into our bodies all the time. Interesting. Yeah. It has to have an effect on us, right? Like, I don't care who you are, your thought process. If things are made naturally in good soil, with good sun, right? With not a lot of chemicals put in it, it's going to be better for you. Right. Right? Right. And so that's why I think it's important for us to realize that, like, there's a huge connection. And so bringing it back to cannabis, it's the same thing. It's a plant that has an experience. The plant has energy. There are over 140 different cannabinoid that are in this one plant, right? Okay. So we have all these receptors in our body that connect with all of these parts of this plant, not just THC and CBD, but the rest of the plant too, right? And so that's why it has so many different great properties. That's why it does some different things. Most people who are sick have an uneven level of cannabinoids in their body. So when you take this medicine, you aren't really getting high, you're just evening out. And that's why it works. Because a lot of times people are even out.
Right, because you're depleted. So you're just kind of leveling out, like you're saying. This has been very, very interesting. You're going to make me think a little bit different about the plant, the food, and my eating experience, actually.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. But okay, that's interesting to find that what you're saying though is really in your industry though, is there's like not, you know, a lot of people or not enough people on board
what I just
to this.
said is what people aren't talking about, right? I mean, doctors will tell you what you need to do, but they really don't really tell you how to get there. And that's for multiple reasons. Time, knowledge, dogma, like, you know, their own particular purpose.
Right.
We're not, you know, we all have different jobs. Some of us look at the whole patient. Some of us are a little more detailed. Some of us are more big pictured, right?
Right.
Everybody doesn't want to bring the same thoughts into their practice. I think that with this more education, I think with people kind of speaking out more, it's becoming an issue because your patients are talking about it now too.
Yes.
So you can't even ignore that anymore.
You're right. That you're saying like a patient came to you to say, hey, look at this alternative, which you said, yes, I'm willing to look at this.
People come with this random stuff. I got to look up because I feel like I have to have a conversation with them about it. Whether I believe it in or not, you know, like I still want to talk to them about it in a way that I can as a professional. So I have to educate myself many times because I mean, they come like, Dr. Rozier, look at this. I'm like, what is that? Like, okay. I can't say yes or no, but let me go take a look at this for you first and kind of see what I think about it. At least, so even when I don't know things, at least I'm open to kind of learning about other options.
Or at least look at a few things and just go, no, I'm not, because I'm strictly this, that, and that. And this is my conditioned belief, and it is what it is, and it's been handed down to generation to generation, and I learned this in school, darn it. So, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. But I love that you are just... First of all, I believe you're love and light. The first time you walked into that room and you said something, you just came in and like, what up? And I was like, what up? You know, like I couldn't believe that. A doctor walked in and actually said, what up?
Yeah, I think that's funny you say that because I in the beginning, I struggled with being myself as a physician because again, you're taught. Like, just think about this. All right, so we can go real deep in this right now and talk about this. So to this day, no one has ever walked up to me and assumed I'm a doctor. I'm 41 years old. I've been a doctor since 2008.
Okay.
People always think I'm something else. They always think I'm like, you know, I think they look at me and go, because they don't see me in the stereotypical doctor look, right? We think of like an older guy. He might, you know, older woman, a little bit, you know, he might be a little bit shabby, and they might not be as as open, as energetic, as serious, as humorous. And I think they might not have tattoos, you know. And so I struggled with the fact that, like, I was like, look, if I'm going to do this job, I have to be myself maybe to do this.
Thank you.
And I think that's where, because I'm not going to be happy walking every day. I don't wear a white coat. I don't like white coats. You know,
you don't.
I just don't like that.
Anytime I've been in there, no, you don't.
I feel like there's this weird hierarchy that we try to place in medicine. I think that's just an ancient thing where, and that's any job, right? I mean, I think, like, you know, if you're a CEO, if you're a CFO, I think that you should be a leader that kind of works with people versus trying to lead them. I think that us having these symbols of hierarchy is so stupid. Even in the hospital, right? There's certain scrub colors that you wear in the hospital. Like, you know, you know, if I think your nurses in the hospital are wearing they wear, I can't remember the color they wear. I think it's pink or green.
Okay.
Right? You have some people that wear green. Some people wear black. People wear blue. People wear tan. And so I walk in like, I don't believe in this color system hierarchy. So I wear all the colors. But then people think I'm everything in the hospital though too, right? So it's funny. Now I have a name tag on. They'll be like, oh, you're a physical therapist? No. Oh, you a nurse? No. And I never get offended by it. But I just think it's funny that how we always characterize people based upon how they're supposed to look, you know. And I think it's also my job too,
just how it's been.
And you know, for me too, as a younger doctor who's a Black doctor who has to kind of also be an example for some younger people out there. There's an issue with the diversity in medicine, right? There are the same amount of Black doctors now as there were in 1940. Okay. 2.5%.
Wow.
I'm still some patient's Black doctor. It's crazy. And so I think a lot is because, you know, certain kids looking, they don't think they can do this job and still be who they are. So I'm like, look, you can still wear, you know, Nikes on, you still have tattoos and have your own style and still be smart, right? Still be professional, right? Still take care of people, still be real successful and still be yourself.
Absolutely.
You know? Like, you don't have to walk in, you can have an afro or long hair. You can wear, you know, I mean, my staff wears tattoos. You can look how you want to be and still be successful what you do, despite, like, you know, despite what you think, right? It should look like.
Or what, I guess I was looking for that word. Right.
Like.
You know, yes. And I'm going to tell you, like, I run a successful real estate team, and it is because I believe I am real. I am raw. But I think that's what makes me successful too, because I'm willing to say the things that people are not willing to say. I'm willing to, lead my clients, but, take their hand and really lead them and give them all the information so that they can make the informed decisions for their own family. I don't tell people what to do. I'm like, here's the information. You do what you need to do with it, because I don't like anybody telling me what to do.
I think nowadays people are used to people lacking honesty. Right.
Okay.
So, and that's an any
honesty
field.
Is the key.
And
yes.
we always walk into any situation now thinking that we're going to get taken advantage of, whether it be buying a house,
right?
Whether it be getting your car fixed, whether it be seeing your doctor, you thinking about to get ripped off, like getting your air conditioner. Like, everything we do now is a thing where it's like a you versus me thing, right? And so when people meet someone who kind of tries to remove some of that ego, who presents themselves, they're kind of taken aback by that, and they don't even know if they even believe that or not. Because it doesn't happen too much, you know?
You're right.
And so I think it's refreshing when people can be honest and present who they are, right? Because we're missing so much of that now.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's part of why I have you on here too. Like, I just love what you're about. Just your energy, you shine in your office. I appreciate that. I really do. I'm
gonna tell my mom you said that. Thanks.
Yeah, tell your mama. I'll tell your mama. But just what you're doing here, I thank you so much, because I think that it needs to be helping people, medicines, whatnot, being more pure, being, let's say, more healthy, where you don't become dependent on things like that, and people making the choice for themselves. But there has to be awareness. They have to be taught. They have to, think for yourselves. You cannot listen to your conditioned or your beliefs or what you were, your parents told you and your grandparents told you. You need to figure it out for yourself. And I really do believe that this is something that you should at least question, try.
Yeah, I think it's important. I appreciate this outlet, because this is what we need. People need to know that this is legal.
Right.
It's out there for them. It's still a problem. There's no marketing for this, no education. The government's not even pushing this at all, right? People still go on the websites and still don't believe it's legal.
Right.
And so that's the big problem. Just knowledge right now is important. So I appreciate you coming out here and inviting me, because these are the kind of situations that I wouldn't be in, where I can just explain to people, look, there is a viable alternative for you. It's legal in Texas. There are doctors out here that are doing this in a very organized way for you. It's not hard to do.
Right.
You just got to reach out. You can just type in, my website, Arc Medical Cannabis Clinic, and type in Cannabis, Texas, and you will have clinics that are pop up, that are either close to you or do telemedicine that you can get medical cannabis with.
Well, I think of a tenant that I have that she's got MS. And, she called me at one point in time and was asking me, she said, I don't have my pills by any chance. Do you know? And I'm like, no, I don't do anything. I don't even know anybody that I could direct you to, but I actually am going to stop by her house because I know she lives in pain, and I'm going to tell her about you. But it's ARC Medical, A-R-K Medical.
Yes.
Cannabis.com.
So ARC Medical Cannabis Clinic, the website is www.arkmedtx.com.
arkmedtx.com, Caleb, just so you know. And the reason why I ask is because when I started to do a little bit of research the other day about this, I think there is an ARC, and that's why I wanted to say an ARK.
Thank you, yeah.
Because
ARC mean because my main things when I started about the clinic, I want to be accessible to everybody.
Yeah, I thought it was you, and then I thought, no, that's not
it's
him.
not Arkansas. ARC meaning we want everybody on this boat.
Oh.
That's what, everybody on the boat. The symbol's a boat. You just got to see the symbol.
Maybe I didn't notice that.
It's a boat. So hop on the boat. We want to make it accessible for everybody. We'll work with you. We'll talk to you. We'll teach you. Even if you just want to learn some stuff, like I'm open to that too. I just want people to understand how important this is. There's opportunities there to have alternative to some treatment that you had. And maybe, and I'm not going to say it works for everybody, right? Like we're all different.
Right.
To be honest with you, some patients are sensitive to it, right?
Okay.
And they can't all take it, right? I mean, we got to be truthful about it.
Sure.
But the majority of people do very, very well and just fine.
So we're gonna end, but I'm gonna make a comment here because I feel like God is moving me to say this. And so look, I will be 50 this year. I look at other people in my family. I'm healthy. Everything about me is healthy. Like I don't have high cholesterol, everything. And I really attribute it to what I've done. Now I'm not a crazy nut. This is something, occasionally when I feel the need or whatever at night, that I would partake in that. But I really believe that it is one of the reasons why I'm healthy, why I think the way that I do, why I have always been somebody that is very open, always, like I said, self-improvement, things of that nature, things that have happened in my life. And I've had major trauma and, everybody has. Right. But this has been one thing that has helped me. And I really, really believe this. So when I saw that sign in your office, I thought, I have to ask questions. And I think we talked for a while about this. And I literally told you, I truly believe it's God's medicine. I truly believe it's why I'm not on any medication, why I choose not to take any medication, for whatever. Because after Steve died, they wanted to put me on all these things. For depression and whatnot. I'm like, no, I don't feel like that's what I need to do. Like, I'm going to go through this myself and figure this out. And so when I had the opportunity, and of course you do have to be evaluated. Right. This wasn't just like you said, okay. Yeah, exactly. I had to go through a process to even get approved for this. But just thank you so much, for everything. Yeah. And like I said, I know we could probably go on and on and on and on.
A lot more to talk about.
But I'm so glad that throughout my experience too, that I feel like God has brought all the people into my life. I pray for this. You're one of them. And so that. I don't know what's going to happen in the future and how we're going to help each other, but I feel like I'm going to help you. And I don't know in what capacity, or maybe it's just this, but I'm willing to definitely do what needs to be done, meaning go talk to people or whatever. And I'm being serious about this.
Yeah, the universe placed you where you're supposed to be. Right?
And I believe God is,
no.
I don't believe in that. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. It's all in His perfect timing. And this right here is about later, and I'm not sure what that's about, but I feel this profoundly. I've journaled about you. I've journaled about this. So I know that you're here for a reason.
That. Yeah. I just want to, I think we all should be here with a purpose.
Absolutely.
I think that you have to live your life very intentionally.
Absolutely.
And I think, and so I appreciate you with this purpose that you have here, and also give me opportunity to come express my purpose too.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. It's definitely been a pleasure. Let's see what happens in the future and how we're going to be used. I know you said something prior to us even going on film, but you were saying something about, now tell me a little bit about this. You said you're doing some type of, what are you putting together? I know you kind of, you said you're in fitness as well. Tell me all the things that you do.
So about 5 years ago, my partner Ingram, he went to college with me, and he's a physician here in Texas. So Dr. Ingram, me and him started working together on virtual reality. And so we began doing marketing. We began doing we were filming shows, doing tours. It was really cool. And then we actually had the idea of doing a at-home fitness program.
Okay.
So we had it all together, and COVID hit.
Okay.
And everybody and their mother started doing at-home fitness, right?
Right.
Everybody pivoted. Everyone pivoted.
That's right. We couldn't get dumbbells. We couldn't get.
So our great idea, we had kind of had to pivot a little bit, and so then we started doing more. We just started making content. We started making fitness content. So we got a bunch of great yoga instructors, boxers, trainers, and then we started to put together a little program. We thought that would be better than maybe instead of just doing individuals, doing groups. And so we started to kind of approach companies and doing wellness fitness.
Okay.
So now Fit in 15 is a fitness content company. Okay.
Okay.
But we also focus a lot on corporate wellness.
Okay.
And so our app and the site, you get great instructional videos, workouts, meditation, yoga, and on top of that, though, too, we're also pivoting to have a kind of fully working fitness channel too.
That's awesome. So you're saying this is Fit 15?
Yeah, Fit 15. It's called Fit in 15. Yes, and so
it's an app.
Yeah, it's an app and a website. All the workouts are about 15 minutes. And so the thing is, they're all different levels, because our goal was to say, okay, not just people who are active, but how to get people off the couch. Because we're both doctors, so we see that we need like levels 1 through 1 through 3, 1 through 4. And so we take this, we kind of use it for these companies. We send emails out. We do great. We do recipes, and we do awesome little health emails every week for them. And then we try to curtail these people in these offices. We try to get them moving, get them functional.
Right.
And it's pretty cool. And so we're doing that now.
This?
I do a whole lot of stuff.
Well, you didn't tell me about this. The whole point of me going into his dang office is I told him okay, I need to start stretching, and I want to start working out. That would have been a perfect time for you to go Fit 15, bitch.
But I just want to throw it out at you like that. So we do a lot of that, but I think the important thing too is education too with fitness, right? People are told what to do, not how to do it, right?
Okay. Yes.
So if I go tell you to go lose 10 pounds, well, not just how do I do it? That's really it, right? I just can't tell you what to do and not give instructions. So that's where let's try to do a program that's doctor based, right?
Okay.
That has some backing from us clinically, and put that on camera.
Okay, that's interesting.
And give it to people.
Okay, so your practice, pain management,
my practice, I do that.
Okay, yeah. Fit 15. Do you do something else?
Yeah. So also, I do aesthetics too. So I'm actually we're opening up a new med spa building.
That's what you were saying, the med spa.
Dallas, so it's called the Science of Beauty. So we do wellness too, along with aesthetics. So all the stuff with the face, but also lasers, contouring, but also too peptides and weight loss. And so we're actually building out a building right now in East Dallas right now. So that's really exciting too.
Okay, good. So you're branching out and doing a couple other things.
And
it's
I travel
not just
and I travel a lot.
And then you travel a lot.
Yeah, that's my main thing. I'm happy when I'm traveling. So
what is your favorite place that you've ever gone to?
I would say, what's crazy? My last Vietnam was amazing. Now, Borneo was probably my most. So nobody knows.
You
what
talked
Borneo
about
is.
this.
People
are
like, it's cool going to, but no one's ever been to. So no one knows what Borneo is at. No one's been there before. But tell you what, they're famous because why? It's the only place you can find orangutans. They come from there, and Sumatra. So Borneo has orangutans. So that's why my purpose of going, because I wanted to photograph orangutans in the wild. So I went there. It was so Borneo is probably what God made the earth to look like. It's still very untouched rainforest.
Okay.
It's crazy. There's the largest flower grows there and blooms. It blooms only for 3 days. I caught one the second day. the smallest bears there, the sun bear. They have like this mountain with 150 orchids on it. They have like, it is what nature was intended to look like. It was crazy. And so that was my favorite nature trip because I just love like the earth, the planet. I love animals. I love plants. I love being out just like in kind of very untouched places. So Borneo is amazing. The people there, the top part is Malaysian owned. The bottom part is owned by Indonesia. Okay. And so I was in the northern part, and those people are amazing from Malaysia. They're sweet, they're kind, they're helpful. The food was fire. Oh my God, so good. And the weather was perfect, you know, and so that was my first trip.
Wow.
Borneo.
That's awesome. How much do you actually get to travel a year?
Well, I travel a lot. It's my outlet. And so we talk about mental health. I have to leave.
Yes.
If I do not leave, I go crazy.
I'm glad.
And my staff knows it. They're like, I'm Dr. Rozier. It's time for a trip now because I start getting a little anxious, a little bit squirrely, as we say.
Yes.
And so for me, like, I'm happiest when I'm traveling the world, when I get to experience people's cultures, people's foods. Like, if I'm out in someone's, like, grandma's like house in the back eating her soup, like, I'm not happy, right? Like, so, like, I need to have that exchange. I'm like a global citizen, you know. I don't see myself just like, we talk about this thing, the planet, the world, the universe. And if you don't experience the world, that never will happen. You will always be just locked into your own little sphere of thought, existence. And then you also don't appreciate how people get to live different ways. Like, you live here in America and you think you need so much stuff.
Yes.
You think we get that. Like, the American dream is the house, the car, right? The retirement, right? And it all revolves around what? Stuff. Right. Like, in America, it revolves around stuff. Right. And you travel somewhere and you see people that are way happier than people you know with way less. You're like, what's the difference? Right. And people live more in the moment. Right. People have more love and respect for their elderly people, their friends and family. They don't look at work as like their number one thing in their life. And but in America, identity. Though, we're taught to feel that way, right? Yes. Like, if you don't work hard and don't hustle, if you're sleeping too much, you're not doing it right. But then you leave this country and you see that that's not really how most people live. Right. They don't. You go to Europe, they don't do that. South America, they don't do that. I mean, almost everywhere outside of America, you're right. Like, that this whole like go, we don't take vacation. I mean, come on now. Think about this. I get so mad. I'll travel and, you know, I'll be somewhere, I'll meet someone from like Germany or Ukraine. Or anywhere. I mean, I'd be Croatia, Russia, whatever. I mean, all these places that are, and I'm traveling and I'm sitting and talking to people, because I meet people from all over the world. And I'm naming spots because, like, right now they're in turmoil, right? Right. But I meet these people outside of their countries or anywhere in Europe. And like, so, like, you know, like, hello, like, how long are you here on vacation? And I'm like, 2 weeks. Like, 2 weeks, that's it? I'm like, I'm here for 6 weeks. I'm off for 2 months. Is that how long your holiday is in America? And people make me feel bad for leaving for 2 weeks, you know? Right. But most countries, they get like 6 weeks a year vacation. That's, you know, or plus. And they get maternity leave. They get paternity leave, right? They're not made to feel bad because they're living their life. They're in the moment. Like, and so when you travel, back to this, you get to see that. You get to see how content people are with very simple things. Right. Right. And so it helps you not get lost in the sauce. You come back and you're like, you know what? I got enough. I mean, it's great to have a little more, but really, like, I have enough. Exactly. And if you realize it's not about all this crap. And so all this whole hamster wheel we're in kind of begins to slow down for you a little bit, right? Because in the end, if all you're doing is working for some time forward, you can't be present in what's going on. That's right. We're not present at all enough too, right? I mean, we're all working towards the next thing. That's all we do. Right. We're taught to always keep working towards the future, and then we get lost. And you wake up and you're 65, 70, and now you're ready to retire. Right. And now you can travel and do a lot of stuff. And then what I see all those people as my patients who now they can't. And that's right.
That's why I was in your office going 50. I need to go travel. I need to go experience things. I'm blessed. Caleb, that's why I tell you, you need to get out of this country and you need to go experience things and you need to travel and you need to get your dang passport. Because I've been so blessed. At least I've been to a lot of places and seen exactly what you're talking about, and that our country actually, like we are so spoiled. Yeah. Spoiled.
We think like all these issues we have in this country are just terrible, and you travel, you're like, oh no, that's poverty.
Yes, that's
at least in America. If you're poor, you get some kind of help, even if it's minimal help, even if it's like people out handing out sandwiches, right? Soup kitchens, that kind of stuff. You go somewhere else, you go to Southeast Asia, you go to South America, and you're poor. Oh, you are poor. Like you literally have nothing, right? So you have no help. No social system set in place, no shelters, no programs, no nonprofits. You just have yourself, and that's it. That's Poe.
Yes.
That's Poe, right? And so then you come back home, or like, because most of our problems are based around stuff, right? Like, oh, how do I pay my iPhone bill? Oh my God, like the car that I bought, I have to fix. Oh my God, the house I bought, I got to pay insurance for. Right? Oh my God, I gotta buy more clothes. Oh my God, I can't afford this vacation. Oh, or it's like, it's not that I can't buy food, but I want this kind of food instead. I want this kind of designer instead. Not that I have clothes, but I want to buy this kind of designer. I want this kind of cologne perfume. I want this kind of sneaker. And it's all built around like what we make for ourselves, right? And so I think also too, the world. So they say this quote: "The world's a book. If you don't travel, you only read a couple pages of it." Right. Right. And I think that if you're really in search for wisdom, you're in search for knowledge, you're in search for that spiritual connection. Yes. You gotta leave.
And your true, authentic self, yes. I think you do have to definitely leave your box for sure. But that's why I'm so happy as to how my life, because I was one of those, Dr. Rozier, I worked all the time. I shit, eat, sleep, real estate. That's all that it was. And then ever since Steve passed and this experience, it is my awakening, and things, what I'm finding were important are not important anymore. I could care less. And I say that more and more and more on this show. And I don't know, look, my real estate team and what we do, keep calling. Keep working. But, keep calling. But I don't give a shit about that as much anymore. Almost, I have a team.
Nothing really.
Keep on calling. They're answering. They're great at what they do. They'll help you.
You still got to work.
They'll help you.
You still got to work and pay your bills. But
it's just my priorities have so shifted.
Nothing really matters that much.
It really
money's not real.
And what I find is he blesses me more the more that I let it all go.
That's it. Yeah.
And really truly work for him. Because I feel like this divine design is working for me. I don't know what I'm doing, Doc. Right. What am I doing talking to you here? Have you here and just coming, he brought me, in front of you and we start, and I'm like, hey, you got to come here. So it's about something else. It's about awareness, but not only that, it's awareness about him, and that everything is spiritual. And we truly live in a spiritual world, and we are all connected, like you're saying. Energy, plants moving like this. This is energy. This is energy. And so just thank you for that. Yeah, I appreciate it. I could sit with you all day long, but thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure. Thank you.
Being here. God, thank you so much for having me go into his path. Thank you for this. I will definitely do an update and kind of let you know how I'm faring with this, what my thoughts are. But I want you to know, even when I take this is not something that, I feel completely effed up or something of that nature. It's not that at all. So I don't want you to think that, if I take a drop of this, that I'm all fucked up. Right. No. It's nothing of that nature.
Be functional. Like I tell patients, I want you to go on the highest amount without being high.
Yes.
That's why I tell them, I want you to be functional in this. So if you get to a level and you feel kind of off, stay there, get used to it, then increase. I want you to live a life and have your medical issues addressed, but still be functional in your life. And I have many people who do that very, very well.
Good, because that's what I really want to say about that. This is not like you take a drop and you're like, you know, or something of that nature. I mean, this is medicinal to help you heal and whatever that may be. But thank you so much. We're going to have to do this again for sure. You know what our topic's going to be next time. But we could probably do another one after that just to go, you know, wrap this up on what's going on. And how maybe we're working together to try to bring more awareness or whatever. Thank you so much, and I appreciate your time. Guys, you know he's got to practice and doing all these things. He's actually sitting here with me, so thank you so much. Until next time, guys. All right, guys, I hope y'all have a great one. Until next time.